Boom! Yeah, we are live again, and it is a Wednesday, and Wednesday partnership it is. Welcome to M5 Robot Addicts. My name is TJ Taurai Jack, and we always hang out with you here every day, coming out, and we talk about anything and everything around property, real estate. I do this all the time in the company called M5 Robot Addicts. We buy properties for rental. Yeah. Where do we do this? Durban, Cape Town, Pretoria, Johannesburg. Yeah, and we do student accommodation. And I just love this topic. But today, and should I say the month of November, it's kind of like an emotional month for me because not only is my wife born in November, I also celebrate my my marriage. I've been married to my wife this year. We've been married together for the last today this year, this month, November, we celebrate 9 years of getting married. And I think life would have been so much different if I didn't have it. And today I just want us to cover a couple of things around money and marriage, right? Around money and marriage, or marriage with money, whichever way you want to look at it. But in a nutshell, that's what I want to cover out today. And as it is what? Wednesday partnership. So it is appropriate for me actually to talk about the first thing that is, I'm going to open a Pandora's box here today. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's playing out in my head already. But I'm going to open up a Pandora's box. And basically, I want to speak to a couple of people. I want to speak to the person who is not married and who is married. And how do you work around your monies and your finances? By no means am I a financial planner or anything of those things. I just talk about what I do. And if what I do is something that you want to do, hey, boom, go for it. Okay. Copy and paste. The only place where copy and paste doesn't really work is in school. In life, copy and paste can bring you money. That's the first tip for today. So let me just start off by saying that when I was not married, right, single, happily, innocent, and all of those things, the money belonged to me. I used to make all the decisions on my money, and it used to rest upon me. And out of that, being educated or educating myself was not like very often, it wasn't high on my priority. Like I was just doing life. There was a whole lot of things that I didn't know. I got married, and out of it, I then started seeing that, the money that I've got is not enough money. But the one thing that I also want to emphasize is that, which is something that I indicate in my book, From Bad Debt to Proper Mogul in 2 years, is that by the time I was married, I was trying to find for solutions in terms of how do I earn more money? Earning more money is important, right? When you've got more money, and I love money. If you ever to know me for anything else, it is the love of money. That's number one. And the second one is having the options, having life with options, right? That's the second thing. And the third thing, if you're to know me for anything, is to build strong relationships. But you can't build strong relationships if you have no money. You can't build strong relationships if you have no options in life. Woo! I did say that. We cannot build strong relationships, and we cannot build strong countries and strong communities if our relationships are not strong. So from that perspective, it is of utter importance that the two of us within a household, those of us that are married, there is no country that goes to war when it's divided amongst its own people. It doesn't go and win. So what do we need to do first? The first thing is that we need to create a symbiotic relationship within our relationship and with money. So what do I mean by that? Right. I know for a lot of us, money is actually something that we don't discuss. And that's okay, but that's a deadly position. And I know that for a lot of you, you've been raised with single moms, dad was never there. And for some of you, okay, fine, you were in a nuclear family, but money was never discussed, even up to now. If you talk about money, people start, looking at you differently. So the reality is that for a lot of us, money is something that has never been discussed. We don't discuss about it at all. And guess what? I'm in the same boat, man. That's exactly where I was. But I got what I call the advantage when I was about to get married. And I had started out hanging out with someone else who'd been a mentor to me. And look, the only thing that he told me that is, TJ, whenever you're wanting to jump into something else, what you need to do is learn about it. And the easiest way you can learn about it is read books. So by the time that I got married, there was a lot of things now that I had started learning about myself. And that one of them was my relationship with money. I knew very well that I needed to have more money. That I knew for a fact. How, I didn't know. So that's the first thing, right? So it's not an excuse that in your family, people never used to talk about money. Forget that, right? What you now need to do, whether you're single, whether you're married, what you now need to do is figure out within yourself, who are you, and like the money that you've got, how are you utilizing that money? And today I want to speak more specifically to being married and how do you utilize your money. And what has worked for me, very simple over the years, is I'm just going to spell it out to you guys. Now, having read many options out there of how you can manage your money, when you're single, it's pretty easy because the bucket stops with you. You decide when you're going on holiday, decide when you're going home, and you decide that. But when you're now married, the dynamics kind of like changes because now there's another party that you need to consult. A lot of us, we are terrible with money, and yet our partners are very good with money, but we hold on to the money and do not give the one who has the realm, who's got good genes, or who's good at money to manage that money for us. And that's tip number 2. In your relationship, who is stronger around money, and that person needs to be managing money. Whether they are male or female, it doesn't matter. It is for the benefit of you as in the couple. So I want to I want to kind of like backstep a little bit, and I want to say to the fact that when I got married, I think my wife and I, we kind of like sat down and we're like, okay, fine. We're all kind of like working in our own businesses, and the business, not in our own businesses. I mean, at that point, we were fully employed, and yes, it's a business to your employer. And we were saying, okay, fine, how best do we live our lives? Do we combine our finances? Do we have a one bank account? I've seen people who do that. It's not for me. Like, what do we do? And then eventually we came up with a solution. And our solution, pretty simple. It can be replicated by anyone else, right? We earn 10,000 Rand. Because if I say we earn 100,000, and people are like, TJ, you're earning 100 grand. No, so let me not do that. I'm just going to say we earn 10 grand. My wife earns 5,000. Let's say my wife earns 6,000 and I earn 4,000. Okay, good. Now, we then said, okay, fine. But we've got a responsibility to live together because now we're married, we're husband and wife. This was a conversation. It might have not been a one conversation, but it's a conversation. It's something that you need to trigger off. And out of that, you now need to say, okay, fine, we've got 10,000, irrespective of what you bring in, it doesn't matter, right? And I deliberately said, my wife earns 6,000 and I earn 4,000 because some cases, women of these days, they're earning a little bit more than the gents. And on some circumstances, that brings some kind of inferiority for some guys. That's a topic for another day. I think that just forget about that. Just do life, man. Just do life together with your spouse. Now, coming back to now, we've got 10,000. So how do we work around this 10,000? We have your money and I have my money, right? But however, when we bring this 10,000 together, it's now our money. Over the years, what my wife and I have done is that we've allocated your money. So out of the 10,000, we will give you allowance. We can call it that allowance for ease of explanation. And that's 1,000. And I'll give me allowance 1,000. So collectively, we have 8,000. But what does this 8,000 do for us? And who's going to look after this 8,000? Because one day we don't want to wake up and then the 8,000 is gone. But where is it going to be? So this 8,000 Rand here, again, you can do whatever you want to do. In our household, it's literally a company that we've got, and this 8,000 sits in there. Right. Now, within this 8,000, with whatever vehicle that you're going to put it in, whether it is in a joint account or whatever the case is, but it just creates transparency in terms of your 8,000. That's where your bond is going to come from. That's where your vehicles are going to come from, and all of those things, right? Holidays, and so it's things that you collectively do. My 1,000 is when I want to take my wife out. So there's a surprise element. My 1,000, I'm going to take out the kids or whatever. I'm going to take out, you get what I mean? Hey, 1,000, what is it? Maybe it's to make her look pretty and all of those things, So it's kind of like what's mine is mine and what's hers is hers, right? That's just a joke. Okay. But nonetheless, you see the drift. So for my household, that's what it is worth. So when we are going to buy groceries, we know how much money is in our bank account. There's no surprise. Oh, you were supposed to do this. Oh, you were supposed to do this. It's plain and simple. Now, out of our 8,000, we further on go and split it into different things. We split it into education for our kids, education for ourselves. We go on to split it into food for our household, helping others, giving to the church, and all of that. That's all in percentages, and boom, that's our 8,000. So if our 8,000 is not enough, what do we now need to do? We potentially need to take away from our 1,000s because, there is no money. Or we potentially now need to start saying, okay, fine, off my 1,000, I'm going to go to school to learn a new skill so that I can bring in more money. If I'm bringing in more money, it's not my money, it's still the household's money, because everything else that I do, it is to progress my life with my kids and my family. Does it make sense? Okay, good. Within that circle of your 8,000, how much money are you putting away for investments, right? So, and again, 8,000 is just a figure representative. It could be actually 80,000. It could be 800,000. I don't know. You do the math. And out of that, you now take that and you say, okay, fine, we want to invest. Where should we be investing? At the moment, banks are kind of like giving you 7%, 8%. You're very lucky if they're giving you 8% anyways. But out of it, you now take that and you say, where is the best vehicle? The best vehicle could actually be with me, where I am giving you 14% per annum. Or it could be anywhere else. Maybe you might want to start a business, right? And you want to start a clothing line. I've got a friend who just started a clothing line called Zambezi. And there's so many things that you can do to grow your money. That way, it's about your family, right? For me, it's about building resources and options for my family. Who's not going to work now? Well, we have reached 101. So now you start having goals within the monies that you've got and what you're doing in life. And potentially, if you're now saying, okay, fine, so-and-so needs to leave the job, or so-and-so have been retrenched, what do we do with that money? And if both of you are not active people who can go out there and make money, that's okay too, right? That's why there is people like me where you can invest with me for passive income. But I'm not the only one. There's many ways that you can do it. But obviously, you need to go and check out what is trusted and what is secured. For me, real estate is very much secured because the property is there. You can see it, right? And we're getting money from your tenants. You can see it. There's tenants there, right? Okay, good. But whatever that you're going to be investing in, obviously, you need to know. So I am wanting to talk about investing 101. The first investing 101 baby steps is that if you're single, you need to understand yourself. So invest in yourself, right? Identify who you are. What's your relationship with money? I'm wrapping up, right? This is just a summary now. Number two, when you get married, hopefully you've kind of like figure out your relationship with money, irrespective of how you were raised. If you were raised with no money conversations, that's okay. If you're raised with money conversations, is it the right way for you? Because what was happening in the 90s and in the 80s and potentially in the 70s, because maybe your parents are old, that's okay too. But does that apply into today's world? If it does, then obviously you want to grow that. If it doesn't, you want to re-engineer that, optimize it, and make it work. Okay? Then the other one is that now that you now know you have a solid relationship with the monies, with money in general, what you now need to go and do is, what about your partner? do they also have a good relationship with money? And how then do we combine as forces to do what we want to do in our household? And then from there on, you can start to grow. For some of you, you actually don't know that for me to be what I am doing today in real estate, my wife actually paid for my course. Well, it was our course at that time because both of us, we went in to do the same course together. But the bottom line is that had she not paid for it, this year that's happening right now would have not happened. So for that reason, I am of the view that as and when you're progressing in life, your partner, your spouse, your bed partner, whatever, your level of awareness and education as you grow, it needs to progress. And from progressing, you are the one who is investing in yourselves. And obviously then, when you start seeing opportunities together as a collective, you're then able to identify those opportunities. And if you can have identified those opportunities, then obviously you can plug in your money there. If you plug in your money in there, you get to have options. You get to have more income. You get to live the life that you want. Hey, it's been great hanging out with you. I'm hoping that this conversation has been of good conversation. It is not to poke any mishappenings in a relationship. And if the other one is holding back on their money, you need to find ways on how to make it work for both of you. We can't build strong relationships if we don't know what's happening. Transparency, I'm of the view that it's very, very key. But it's your relationship. You do what works for you. It is I, TJ, Tara Jake. Chat with you later. Goodbye. Cheers.